Lil Durk just claimed labels are pushing him to beef with other rappers.
Is that so?
Is that why his beef with Youngboy is lasting so long?
It's possible.
Were record labels responsible for rappers getting killed?
I wouldn't put it past them.
Let's talk about it.
Shall we?
Lil Durk just exposed the industry. As huge as the beef is between Lil Durk and NBA Youngboy, you'd think it's been going on their entire careers.
It hasn't.
No.
However, it's only been a couple of years. The beef seemingly ballooned when King Von was shot and killed by one of YB's affiliates.
Unfortunate.
But according to Durk, rap labels are behind much of the beef today.
Oh, really now?
And he's one of the people they're trying to pay to keep it going. Durk went on Twitter to expose the news and now has everyone thinking if he's serious or not. Could he be?
Maybe?
The thought of rap labels financing beef has been a thought since the 90s, and with artists from that time all the way up until now admitting the underlying things record labels do, such as finance rap beef, you can't really rule out Durk's tweet.
He's got a point.
Especially now, where you have a bunch of rappers who are actually beefing with each other outside of rap. There are so many artists, especially young artists, that are finding themselves getting a lot of money because of the attention they get from the problems they have in the street.
Bittersweet.
Whether they are actually gangbanging or not, these guys are setting off their rap careers with violent beefs that eventually lands them in prison or dead before or after signing any deals with the label.
Fortunately, yes.
Chicago was one of the cities that blew up off of rap beef in the early 2010s. Since Chicago is known for gangbanging, just like Los Angeles is, it doesn't really surprise residents or former residents of Chicago. It did surprise the whole world though.
Facts! Hard facts!
News stations all over the map and even the President of the United States mentioned and critiqued the violence going on in Chicago. Donald Trump even suggested setting off martial law to extinguish gun violence when he was president.
Ho, brother, whoa, now. You got too much dip on your chip.
Durk is very familiar with that time, considering that was the era he bred his rap career in. Fortunately for him, he was able to make it as far as he is now. Unfortunately for others, they're experiencing the other end of the stick.
Damn!
But why would record labels fund beef?
Oh, good question.
Well, what do you think?
Money.
There's always money. With the change in how we consume music, calculating record sales is starting to become tougher. A lot of the data being used from streaming services is becoming harder to interpret for record labels. So because of that, they have to find some way to generate consistent revenue outside of spending money to push records that may or may not work. It's plain as day that beef is an interest for a vast majority of rap listeners, especially young ones. I guess it's the sheer drama behind it.
That makes sense to me.
You're watching two artists going back and forth and possibly having to see each other in person at different venues or just on a whim.
You never know.
There have been times where we've seen artists see each other at festivals, club appearances, and more. The result varied depending on the beef, but when it's legit street beef, it often leads to someone dying.
Unfortunately, Mr. Turner, he's right!
With social media, it becomes even bigger.
Well, it's sad, really.
Eventually, you'll see those same artists popping up on Instagram Live or sharing pictures and videos on their feeds either dissing or threatening their enemy. That's one of the things that got Young Thug locked up. Thug's beef with YFN Lucci went from the streets to rap to social media. Before you knew it, authorities had piles and piles of digital evidence that anyone could have screenshotted and sent in themselves. Lil Durk has already been rumored to be under surveillance by the FBI, potentially being wrapped up in a huge RICO case with the rest of his OTF members. Plus, the beef between him and NBA Youngboy cost the life of one of Durk's closest friends, King Von. It also shed a light on both artists to the point where they may just have to stay extremely low-key to avoid any more attention than what they have now.
Smart move!
Especially NBA Youngboy. His legal issues aren't over yet, so he doesn't really have any room to mess up, although he's been calling out Lil Durk and other rappers. So any violent moves made by either of them could be their last in the free world if they're not careful, and all for the sake of some funds from a record label. If that's the case, they may want to find a way to just get money and chill.
I'll say.
If not, they'll likely end up like Bobby Shmurda, locked up for years, abandoned by their labels, and coming home to potentially be deemed a rapper that's fallen off.